it's important to understand what cancer loves, because when we understand what cancer loves, we don't want to give it that. And I have many books in my library at home.
As a thank you for joining me today, we're giving away 100 free copies of my best-selling book to our subscribers. So if you haven't yet, hit subscribe, like this video, and comment why you want to win. Now let's get started. Hello, I'm Barbara O'Neill. Did you know that chronic inflammation is a major cause of diseases like cancer and obesity? The good news is that nature provides us with powerful healing foods that can reduce inflammation, support your body's ability to fight disease, and even help burn fat naturally. In this talk, I'll guide you through some of the best anti-inflammatory foods and how they can transform your health. Let's explore how simple changes to your diet can make a big difference in your well-being. Dark green leafy vegetables are also alkaline forming. Dark green leafy vegetables we should be eating every day. That's your kale, that's your parsley, that's your, what you call them, collard greens. Do you know, I've never seen collard greens in Australia. You can tell I'm in Alabama. They're a popular food here, but we do have spinach and silver beet, kale. We should be eating something from the dark green family of vegetables every single day. And if you don't, you really should have a dose of green barley or super greens. Also vegetables. Vegetables have an alkaline effect. But there is a question mark with vegetables. I'm putting a question mark here because for some people these have an alkaline effect and sometimes an acid effect. It's the tomato and bell pepper, or in Australia we call that capsicum. Also eggplant, and some countries call this aubergine. And last is the potato. Now this is not the sweet potato. The sweet potato is actually not a potato. The sweet potato is a yam. I'm referring to the English potato or the Irish potato. This is the nightshade group of vegetables, and for some people they have an acid effect, and for some people they have an alkaline effect. Let me tell you what I have found with me. My mother died at 51, a cripple in a wheelchair with rheumatoid arthritis. I have strong inherited genes to that way. And my body says to me, a little tomato now and then. My body says to me, don't even touch the bell pepper. What happens if I touch it? Oh, it repeats on me all afternoon and my energy just goes. So I say, I'm hearing your body and I don't eat it. The eggplant, I have a little eggplant now and then, maybe twice a month. Potato, my husband's an Irishman. Potatoes must be in every main meal, so I have it probably most days. That's what my body tells me. I don't know what your body will tell you. Now, I could have 10 professors in front of me saying, this is ridiculous, Barbara. The bell pepper is a very good vegetable. It is high in antioxidants and vitamin C's. You should be eating it. Who am I going to listen to? You're right. I've got to live in this body. That's why the fine-tuning is yours. No man on the planet can tell you the fine-tuning. Only your body can. Now let's talk about some of the most powerful anti-inflammatory foods that can literally transform your health. Berries, for instance, are a must-have. They're packed with antioxidants like anthocyanins that fight free radicals and reduce inflammation. Then there's turmeric, one of my personal favourites. Its active compound, curcumin, not only soothes inflammation, but also helps target abnormal cells, making it a potent ally in cancer prevention. And don't underestimate the humble flaxseed. Rich in omega-3 fatty acids, it supports your metabolism, burns fat, and lowers inflammation. But remember, the secret isn't just in eating these foods, it's in avoiding the ones that inflame your system, like processed oils and refined sugars. Fuel your body with what heals and it will reward you with vibrant health. Now we're going to have a look at ginger. Ginger can be used internally and ginger can be used externally. Internally, it's an anti-inflammatory, but it's probably mostly known for its anti-nausea effect. If you buy car sickness or seasickness tablets, it's compressed ginger. Now, the easiest way, I think, to have this is to grate it. So you grate it on that little grater, and you'll grate about a teaspoon, and you put it in a little teapot and pour boiling water on it, and let it sit probably 10 minutes. Now, that might be too strong for you, but I love it. I love it like that. If it's too strong, you just water it down a little bit. If someone's very cold, maybe they've been caught out in the cold or something, and it's very hard to warm them up, give them a cup of hot ginger tea and it will warm them up very nicely. So it can be used for nausea, it can be used to warm a person if they're chilled or cold. And you saw too, it is one of the recipes in the flu bomb. I was at a function, it was a health seminar, and in the break everyone went and had their herb teas, and there was a girl with a tiny little grater grating ginger. And I said, "Ah, ginger." She said, "I'm an entertainer, I'm a singer." She said, "I was in Greece last year and I lost my voice, and a little Greek lady made me a hot ginger tea." She said, "I sung that night." So she said, "I travel with my little grater everywhere I go." So very nice on a sore throat or hoarse throat. Now we're going to look at what you can do with ginger externally. So I always take a plate, and I always take the plastic square. Again, you can use a wool square next to that, but you still need that plastic backing so that it doesn't wet all your clothes, and also so it insulates. And then we put a cloth over it, and it's usually around this size. And then I grate straight onto it. So why would I use a ginger poultice? I would use a ginger poultice for an inflamed joint. So the easiest way to remember this is ginger is for joints. So that would be gout, it would be arthritis, also a sore back, an inflamed back. Now when someone's got an inflamed back, they usually put a hot water bottle on it, is that right? But if the back is hurting because of inflammation, where's my knife? Here. The hot water bottle will relax, and you know the reason why the hot water bottle relaxes is because when we're in pain, the muscles around that area tighten and cramp. Basically, they go out in sympathy with the pain. And you put a hot water bottle on that and it relaxes those cramping muscles. So you do get some relief, but it does not help the inflammation. It can even make it worse. But ginger, if you apply a ginger poultice anywhere where there's inflammation, the ginger pulls the inflammation out of the joint to the skin, and the skin gets really hot. So if you apply this to the lower back, the heat relaxes the muscles, and yet the ginger is reducing the inflammation. So you do about that much, and then how you make the poultice is you put the left side over and the right side over, and the bottom comes up and the top goes down. So you can see I've made like a little package there. And then I turn that over, and the part that's touching the skin is where you've just got one layer. And the beauty of this little package also is that you've got a few layers behind, so that if it is quite wet, it will help to soak up any drips. And then you will apply that to the area. Now let's say that I have an inflamed joint, then you would apply it to the area there. But you can see even with the plastic on that, not much is touching the skin. It's only the very edges. And then you bandage that on. Now, if someone has an inflamed joint, say a wrist or an ankle or a knee or toes, we apply the ginger poultice, or even in a sore back, we apply the ginger poultice maybe about 6 o'clock in the evening. And within half an hour, if there's inflammation in there, the skin gets very hot. And then the person has the choice when they're going to bed, is that heat all right? Because if it's too hot, they can just take it off. But if it feels good to them, they can go to sleep. If you put it on just before bed and the skin gets really hot, it could wake up and cause discomfort. But when people have gout or arthritis, the heat is usually very, very nice. And again, for a sore lower back, it's very nice because, again, it pulls the inflammation out of the joint and the heat relaxes those muscles that tend to cramp whenever there's pain.
Now, what's fascinating about ginger is how versatile it is, not just for inflammation, but also for boosting circulation and metabolism, which makes it a fantastic fat-burning aid. Ginger's thermogenic properties gently raise your body temperature, encouraging your system to burn calories more efficiently. That's why I often recommend starting the day with a cup of ginger tea, especially for those trying to lose weight or improve digestion. But let me share another secret. Ginger doesn't just target fat, it's also a cancer-fighting powerhouse. Its compounds, like gingerol, have been shown to inhibit the growth of cancer cells while reducing oxidative stress in the body. You can include ginger in your meals, smoothies, or even desserts. It's incredible how this humble root can transform both your health and your kitchen. Truly, it's nature's medicine at its best.
So I'll tell you the story of a lady who saw my lecture on YouTube. She emailed me the story and she put the ginger poultice on her sore knee. She was so excited it reduced the pain by 50%. The skin did get hot. You see, all the inflammation's being drawn out. So the next morning she made another one. And then she made another one for overnight. And when she woke up in the morning, the skin was all swollen and blistered. She said, "What have I done?" I said, "You've overdone it." You've just overdone it. You've just pulled too much inflammation out and it's irritated the skin. So if you do have an inflamed joint anywhere, just do it maybe for 4 hours in the afternoon or even overnight, but just don't do it non-stop because, again, you can inflame the skin. Not a problem because you just have to leave the skin, maybe put a castor oil compress on that knee until it settles right down. One lady said, "My skin's burning." And I said, "Actually, it won't burn, but what's the joint like?" And she said, "Oh, actually, it's good." We had one lady and she said, "I've got this swollen finger. The joint was swollen twice the size." She said, "This has been paining me for 2 years." So we made a tiny little ginger poultice, put it over, put a little bit of plastic over it to insulate, and then taped it on. And this is called a paper tape. This is a really soft tape on the skin. In the morning, she was so excited that the joint had gone right down and she could move her finger. That was just one night. Sometimes it takes more than one night. But that ginger is excellent for joints. So remember, gout, arthritis, you can do it. One man said his big toe, he put it on his big toe and all the pain went out. And then the next toe was painful, so he put it on there. Then the next night, it was okay and had gone to the next one. He said it was jumping toes. I said, "Did it go to the next foot?" He said, "No." So again, you're just listening to the body. Now, this poultice, once it's used, because it's vegetable matter, has to be discarded, but you could make it in the afternoon and fold it over like that and use it that night. There's garlic. And this is a nice garlic. I always look for the purple ones. So you want to have a look at for the, I was going to say Australia, but I'm in America now. So I try not to get the Chinese ones. And if you press it down, you can open it up easily. And this is your natural antibiotic. In your book, there's a recipe for the flu bomb. And the flu bomb has crushed garlic in it. I don't say how much because it depends how much you dare. Some people can handle a couple of cloves, some people can handle only 1 clove. Also a little bit of grated ginger, sprinkle of cayenne pepper or half a teaspoon if you can handle it. Drop of eucalyptus oil, only a drop, there's definitely a measurement there. One lady rang up and she said, "Barbara, I can't use this eucalyptus oil." I said, "Why not?" She said, it says on the bottle, not fit for human consumption. I said, we're not asking you to drink the bottle. It's 1 drop. In Australia, you can buy eucalyptus cough lozenges. What do you think's in the cough lozenges? Eucalyptus oil. So only 1 drop. Yes, you'd probably be in trouble if you drank half a cup, but I think that's a bit of common sense, isn't it? Now what I'm doing now, this is what you do to a baby. You could do it to a newborn baby, you could do it to any baby. So I've got a little cloth that's a strip, and that looks like about 8 inches long, about a bit more than 1 inch wide, and I've put some fine slices of garlic on there. And I'm going to cover that over, and I'm going to pretend that the palm of my hand is the bottom of the foot. So I've got a layer of cloth between the fine slices of garlic and the skin. If that garlic touches the skin, it will blister the skin. Not so with the onion, but definitely with the garlic. And you can do this to a baby any age, and within a couple of minutes you can smell it on their breath, because it takes 1 minute for 1 drop of blood to go around the whole body. So this is a great way to get garlic into a baby if they've got a little bit of a chesty cough, or if they've got a head cold, a bit snuffly, then you can put the garlic on their feet. I used to put it on my son James. I realise now, and I didn't realise at the time, that we lived in a house that backed onto a swamp, so my children often got chest cold.
It's important to understand what cancer loves, because when we understand what cancer loves, we don't want to give it that. And I have many books in my library at home, many by doctors, scientists, professors, naturopaths, herbalists, nutritionists that have conquered cancer. So my interest is, what have they done? What have they done to bring about healing? And I have found three common denominators. Cancer loves glucose. In fact, it consumes 15 times the glucose of any other cell. Cancer loves an environment where there is no oxygen. And cancer loves an acid environment. And so let's turn that over the other way. What does cancer hate? Sorry. Cancer hates. That's what we want to give the body an environment where cancer cannot thrive. So what does it hate? No or low glucose. And cancer cannot live in the presence of oxygen. A lady said to me, Barbara, did you know that there's a group of scientists in the US that are doing tests on cancer, and they're discovering that cancer cannot live in an oxygenated environment, and that cancer, it can't live where there's low oxygen and low glucose. I said, well, I'm very glad that they're looking at that. But did you know that in 1946, Dr. Otto...
Just be sure to always place a layer of cloth between the garlic and your skin to avoid irritation or blistering. This method works because garlic stimulates circulation and encourages the movement of lymphatic fluid, which can significantly reduce swelling. Pairing garlic with anti-inflammatory foods like ginger and turmeric amplifies its effectiveness, creating a powerful remedy for swollen feet. Remember, consistency is key, whether you're consuming it or using it externally. Garlic truly is one of nature's most versatile and potent remedies, helping not just with colds and coughs, but also with promoting better blood flow and reducing inflammation.
It's important to understand what cancer loves, because when we understand what cancer loves, we don't want to give it that. And I have many books in my library at home, many by doctors. It's important to understand what cancer loves, because when we understand what cancer loves, we don't want to give it that. And I have many books in my library at home. Many. What have they done to bring about healing? And I have found three common denominators. Cancer loves glucose. In fact, it consumes 15 times the glucose of any other cell. Cancer loves an environment where there is no oxygen. And cancer loves an acid environment. And so let's turn that over the other way. What does cancer hate? Sorry. Cancer hates. That's what we want to give the body an environment where cancer cannot thrive. So what does it hate? No or low glucose. And cancer cannot live in the presence of oxygen. A lady said to me, Barbara, did you know that there's a group of scientists in the US that are doing tests on cancer, and they're discovering that cancer cannot live in an oxygenated environment, and that cancer, it can't live where there's low oxygen and low glucose. I said, well, I'm very glad that they're looking at that. But did you know that in 1946, Dr. Otto Warburg got a Nobel Prize for cancer hates an alkaline environment. So let's go over to the cell and have a look at the energy cycles in the cell. And I'm going to show you where the part in the cell that's consuming high glucose and no oxygen. Do you remember we looked at the glucose going in, and it goes through a 20-step pathway, and that 20-step pathway gives us 2 units of energy, and this pathway is no oxygen, and this pathway is a fast pathway consuming huge amounts of glucose. The end result is the chemical form of glucose called pyruvate. And pyruvate, as the chemical form of glucose, gets fed into what's called the powerhouse of the cell. It's the mitochondria, or the Krebs cycle inside the mitochondria. It's an 8-step pathway. It uses oxygen, and it gives 36 units of energy. Looking at that cell, can you see where cancer lives? Cancer thrives in this section of the cell where it's consuming high amounts of glucose and not using any oxygen. There are 3 ways that you can conquer skin cancer. There's a very quick way, and that's to apply the black salve, or the cansema. And it's a black ointment, and you apply it once, cover the area, and don't touch it for 24 hours, then you take it off. And if it is cancer, there will be a reaction. It'll be red with a pussy top. Don't worry, that's exactly what the herb's doing. After 10 days, it slowly shrinks up, and then the core will fall out. You'll be left with a crater, a hole, but usually over the next month or so, that fills out, and you can put a drop of castor oil on it every day. That's the quick way to get rid of skin cancer. The next way, which is not quite as quick but still effective, you put 1 drop of oregano, you call it oregano, 1 drop on the skin cancer every morning, and that will take maybe 3 weeks, maybe 4 weeks. It'll sting, but after usually about a month, then it falls off. The very slow way, and this might take 6 months, is to apply castor oil twice a day. Yeah. Skin tag, you can try castor oil, but consistency is the key with castor oil, because it works little by little by little.
Now, as we continue looking at the fascinating dynamics of the cell, what's important to note is that when glucose is consumed rapidly in the absence of oxygen, cancer thrives. But when we switch the environment of the body, when we lower glucose intake and provide oxygen, the entire system shifts. This shift is crucial because oxygen feeds into the mitochondria, or the powerhouse of the cell, enabling efficient energy production through the 8-step Krebs cycle, yielding 36 units of energy per molecule of glucose, compared to the 2 units produced in the absence of oxygen. Here's where anti-inflammatory foods come in. By reducing glucose-heavy acid-forming diets and integrating alkaline foods such as leafy greens, turmeric and fresh vegetables, we starve cancer cells while supporting cellular respiration. These foods, rich in antioxidants, help protect the mitochondria, ensuring your body functions optimally. This approach doesn't just burn fat, it creates an internal environment where cancer struggles to survive.
She's a Polish lady. She said, "Barbara, anything you tell me to do, I will do." And when she heard the lectures, she said, "I think I found out my problem." She said, "I'm a Seventh-day Adventist." She said, "I've been a vegetarian all my life. I don't drink, I don't smoke." But she had a lot of chemicals in her laundry cupboard because she liked everything clean. So she used a lot of chemicals in her cleaning. She said, "At my church, we love desserts. And there's this Australian dessert called a pavlova. It's like a meringue." She said, "I used to make pavlovas this big, and I'd put 16 cups of white sugar." She said, "I believed that I was killing myself with these desserts." She said, "The sugar and the chemicals were just feeding the cancer. So you've got to starve it." So she did everything that we advised. She was very excited. When she first went to the doctor, he said, "You've got to have chemo immediately. This is aggressive. You've got 3 tumours in your abdomen." So what she did was she did our program. She went home, and for 6 weeks she had no fruit at all. She just had the vegetables, the legumes, and there's so many different vegetables, and there's so many different legumes, and there's so many different nuts and seeds. You can have a nice variety in your food. And she did castor oil compresses. Castor oil penetrates deeper than any other oil and has the ability to break up lumps, bumps, congestions. And so she wore the castor oil compresses. Now, this lady was on a sleep apnea machine. She was also on blood pressure medication, several other medication. So she implemented everything we advised, and after 3 months she went back to the doctor, and he did blood tests, had a look at her, and he said, "Oh, just keep doing what you're doing and come back in 6 months." Now, what did he say the first time? "You've got to have chemo immediately." She said she went back 6 months later, so we're looking at a year now, and one of her tumours had totally gone. She's lost weight, she's looking good, she's buying herself new outfits. She said, "I'm not on the sleep apnea machine anymore." She said, "My blood pressure has normalised, all these other problems have normalised." She's eating a little bit of fruit now, but not much. She's eating more low sugar fruits like grapefruit, Granny Smith apples, berries, but she keeps that low. She said, "I cook all my beautiful Polish dishes, but instead of cream, I use coconut cream." She said, "Instead of butter, I use coconut or olive oil." So she's cooking beautiful food, but she's replaced the wheat flour with the ancient grains flours like the spells. She makes beautiful food. They don't complain, but there's no more pavlovas, no more sweet meringues. She went back 18 months later, another tumour had gone. She said when she goes to the doctor now, the oncologist there, I think she just goes once a year now, her specialist is there, and they look at her, they can't understand what happened to Elizabeth. But Elizabeth is a powerful message that we live in a body with an inbuilt ability to heal itself.
So as we wrap up, the key to creating an environment where cancer cannot thrive lies in anti-inflammatory, nutrient-rich foods like dark leafy greens, turmeric, ginger and garlic. These foods combat inflammation, oxygenate cells and alkalize the body, all conditions cancer hates. If you found this helpful, don't forget to like this video, subscribe for more health tips and share it with someone who might benefit. Together we can inspire healthier lives.